for the examination to get a good rank. So I would like to hear from you guys about.
Shivam, you would like to go first?
Yeah, okay. So I started, as I mentioned, I started my preparation while I was working in the private sector. So and my preparation was along with my job. So particularly in terms of non-academic activity, I was not pursuing any such activity that helped me in preparation. Definitely, my hobbies such as running, I used to do that regularly, and that one activity keep me away from the preparation for some time, and that was helpful in maintaining the good mental health. As such, in preparation, I personally have not done anything special that had directly helped me, but indirectly following such hobbies does help you, keeping you sane. And some kind of detachment is also needed when you prepare full time, or when you are too much into preparation, you want a free time for yourself. So these kind of non-academic hobbies will help in those directions. So in my personal opinion, everybody should follow something. Take out 30 minutes, 40 minutes of their daily schedule and follow our activity, not for the solely for the purpose of getting help in the preparation, but also for a good mental and physical health.
So coming to me, there are a couple of things that I actively engaged myself into while I was preparing for the civil services examination. So I knew that, okay, this exam is going to be very tiring in terms of it demands a lot of your mental and physical grit. So I thought, let me do something that I can ensure that I maintain that momentum for both physically and mentally. So I ensured that I worked out at least 4 days in a week. So that gave me those endorphins and dopamine to actually push myself, and in a way it helps you build your stamina as well, because you slog for hours throughout the day while you prepare. So that helps. And I also fortunately I got good enough time to explore our spiritual texts as well, because that somewhere gives you that a leeway in terms of detaching yourself from the whole result oriented thing, and keeps you more focused on the process. So I think as we while we prepare, we hear a lot of about nishkam karma, is that when you just focus on the process and don't worry really much about the process, about the results. So these two couple of things actually helped me keep my mental and physical stamina. So these were the two major things that I actually engaged in during my prep.
Yeah, actually, as you both have mentioned, that hobby is one of the crucial aspects in our journey. So I think if one has a true hobby, then I think the preparation becomes a little bit easy. For example, I'm a cricket enthusiast, and basically I follow Test cricket. So basically, that gives me a sense of happiness or away time from studies whenever I do watch cricket and I do follow cricket updates all around the world. So I think if you do have a hobby, you can learn from it as well, and at the same time, you can get some free time, some fresh air apart from studies. So I think that would help. And apart from that, I think a very close circle of 4 to 5 people in non-academic, non-UPSC arena, if you have such kind of people around you, then I think that is a good thing, because then you would be in a good mindset. And since it is not a one-day game, it is not like a test match. You have to go on a journey which you don't know how it will end. So I think definitely following a hobby is, I think, good not only at individual level, but at the same time it would develop or enhance the personality, as Abhay has mentioned out as well. Yes.
Were there any hobbies that you pursued during the campus, or if you have started your preparation while staying in the campus, were there any extra academic activities that you were engaged into? I would like to hear from you guys.
When hobbies in the campus, I just would like to add one thing. Like if you pursue certain extracurricular activities, as Sanjay has mentioned, it will help you build a good personality, and that personality will help you indirectly in your prelims and mains preparation. At the same time, it directly helps you in your interview preparation, because over there you will be judged based on your personality. So not looking from the point of how it can directly help you in boosting your prelims marks or mains marks, extracurricular activity will shape your personality. And while I was in college, my purpose was not for, I was not preparing for UPSC when I was in college. So this intention was not there. Although in college I used to play hockey, I used to participate in general championship events in sports event and technical events. I think those events had directly helped me in my interview because questions were asked since I have mentioned them in my detailed application form. And apart from that, those extracurricular does help you directly or indirectly at any stage. So that was my experience with extracurricular in this journey.
So just like Shivam, even I first thought of preparing for civil services while I was in third year of my job. So there was no such thought while I was back in KGP to pursue civil services. So, but one thing that I'm very happy and very proud about while I was in KGP is I was extensively involved in dramatics. So you name a play, I would go in open hall, I would go in intra hall, inter IIT. So that is something I really gave my heart and soul. And surprisingly, that was one question that was asked to me in my personality test as well. So there was almost a 10 minutes discussion on which was my favorite play that I did back in KGP. So you never know what things can click here and there. And apart from dramatics, I think I was also engaged in cricket as well. So these were the two main things that I actually pursued while I was in KGP, and somewhere or the other, it really helps you in your prep as well as in the final interview as well.
Yes, exactly. In fact, I was also not, I have not also not thought about the UPSC preparation during my college, but I was extensively involved. In fact, I was the whole president during 15-16. I was intra-IT in athletics as well, in cricket as well. And apart from that, I was part of inter-hall athletics, cricket, volleyball, football. So I was extensively involved in sports activities throughout my college. So I think that has helped me. In fact, when we fill the detailed application form like that, that you would come to know at the interview stage, there, in fact, I do have position of responsibilities. They specifically ask you about position of responsibilities. Then they would ask you about extracurricular activities. Then they would ask you about hobbies. So I think these sections would be filled up if you would be actively involved in the activities at IIT Kharagpur, right? Because then you would be having practical knowledge about it. Then, and if you would not be involved in those activities right now, then you would be faking those things. And in the end, a person who would be having the knowledge, you may end up, getting ambushed. So I think you can be actively involved in one or two activities. So that would ultimately become your hobby as well. And at the same time, it would enhance your CV like it does in the corporate sector while we think of it.
So, okay, I guess we can involve in something constructive that could help us bust the stress while preparing for the exam. That is the crux of your answer, right? So now we can move on to the next question. The biggest doubt that students have while preparing for civil services examination is what optional do they have to pick? So, what was your approach while picking up your optional subject? We'd like to hear from you.
So regarding optional, my strategy was very clear. Like I was good in mathematics during college time, and I used to score well in the mathematics paper that was happening in the first year and second year, first semester and second semester. So I thought mathematics is one area I am good at. And when I looked at the mathematics syllabus, I thought that I would be able to cover it easily because around 80% of the syllabus was covered. And being from the mechanical engineering branch, the physics portion was also covered in the class. So my basics were clear. So it helped me decide that I want to go with mathematics. But because I knew that if I have to slog around 10 hours on one particular subject, I would be able to do it because that is one subject I'm very much interested in. Apart from that, regarding approach that you should have in selecting the optional, I would say choose an optional in which you are interested in studying. Don't look for it will help me in GS1 or GS2 or GS3 or it is scoring good marks, because I have seen people with the different strategies for selecting the optional, and one thing that is common is they wanted to learn and they were very interested in reading that subject. So that is one suggestion that I would give. If you are interested, look at the syllabus, and if you find the syllabus interesting, then you can choose that optional. And people from engineering choose all different optional. You will find people from anthropology, you'll find people from sociology, and from the core mechanical engineering, mathematics, and then so you can choose any optional based on your interest.
Yeah, I think I had a very similar approach as well. I would also like to add on upon that is that so since I'm from computer science background, I really did not have any option that was directly available in the exam. So my thought was that I decided on a couple of 3 or 4 parameters. One being is, as Shivam said, the interest to sustain it. First of all, I think that's must, because even if you're down and out, you should still be able to slog through that time. So I think that is one interest. Second thing is it's a very interesting thing that if you, let's say, opt for an humanities optional, so there could be times where you, let's say, you write an answer, and that there could be a situation where the examiner's point of view may not match with you, and that might be actually fatal for your exam. So, and the best part of mathematics is that if you find the right answer, the examiner cannot deny you marks. There's a straight, you'll be offered marks right there and there. And so these are two couple of reasons why I thought. And also the third factor being other options apart from the technical, like let's say maths or physics, it involves extensive answer writing as well, right? And you're competing with people who actually start opting for such optional courses right from their graduation time. So you are already competing with a larger crowd, right? So how do you make a difference there? That is one thing you should think about. And the thing is, again, answer writing can take you very up in the marks or can pull you down as well. But maths cannot do that to you, because maths is more objective, I feel. It's just my opinion, and other subjects could be subjective at times. So these were 3 or 4 factors that I actually considered while opting for mathematics as an option.
Yes, yes, I think both of you have rightly pointed out. I would just like to add one more thing, that right now, actually, there are two thoughts. One is for technical and one is for non-technical. That if you choose a technical subject, it is objective in nature, and if you work hard in that aspect, then you will get good marks, which is true. But at the same time, the students would be having non-technical like GS-based optional. They would be getting the time to read more GS subjects in a way. So it is sort of cost-benefit analysis. So ultimately, it comes down to your interest, in which if you are interested in a particular subject, so that you have to find out. You do have the syllabus with you, right? You are in college. So suppose if you want to go in your course stream, then I think you can look up to syllabus. And if you are interested, then do in a good way how to solve questions and in a UPSC manner. So if that is possible, then I think you can go for core subject. Or else, if you are not interested in your core subject, then I think then you can go for other options, like based on the number of toppers from a particular subject or your interest in specific in a particular area. So I think it depends on case to case.
Okay, so
And one last thing I want to add. Many people choose optional based on the performance of that optional in a particular year. And I feel that is one of the biggest trap you can fall into, because this sometime one optional will do good, next year some other optional will do good, because it depends on the kind of people writing the paper on that particular year. This time people may think the PSIR people did not score well, so then don't go for PSIR. So I would say don't fall into those kind of trap, that which optional is performing well, which optional is scoring well this year, let's take that optional, because the story can change 180-degree next year. So choose an optional in which you are interested in. Choose an optional in which you can devote 2-3 years of time, because the journey could be longer. You can clear in one attempt, it could take 4-5 attempts as well. So these parameters should be kept in mind, because optional plays a very big role in your selection at the end.
okay, I guess you guys have provided an insightful, idea of how to pick optional subject while preparing for the exam. So we can move on to the next question. My next question to you is: while you were in the campus, I guess none of you started preparation for UPSC while you were in the campus, but still, how did you manage your academics along with, your on-campus engagement? If someone is, deciding to start his preparation while he's in the campus, he's completing his degree, should he completely dedicate his time to the preparation, or shall he engaged in some other activities or prepare for a backup or something like that? So I would like to hear from you.
I would say it depends on your priority. Like suppose if you are planning to write your attempt just after the graduation, then you need to devote your time for preparation in the campus itself. But if you have not decided that you want to sit just after the graduation, then you can plan your campus life as well as your preparation in a balanced way. So coming to the first point, how to manage academics, irrespective of whether you are preparing for UPSC or not preparing, I would say there's a very simple formula to do good in academics in campus. Just go and attend classes. That is more than sufficient to score very good CGPA. In my personal experience, it would be minimum 8.5 if you go and just attend the classes. And anyway, if you don't go and attend the classes, that time is generally wasted in doing gossiping in hostels, halls, and that is generally wasted. So just go to classes, attend classes. Your campus academics will be ensured, and rest you can manage. If you want to appear just after your graduation, then you can start in third year preparation. Or if you want to attempt after 1 or 2 years after your graduation, then you can enjoy your campus life, involve in extracurricular, explore your interest, and then prepare. So academic can be balanced by your class attendance.
I think I also concur with Shivam, but whatever I'm going to say next is all based on my retrospection because we all did the things which people generally do. So we are not an exception here. So the thing is, yes, if you have decided that you're going to pursue civil services just after graduation, I would not say to curtail your social life completely, but yes, I think you can bring in a lot of balance. Let's say let's say if you spend let's say 10 units of time in a week for your social life, cut it down to 5. It's okay because since you already have a priority set and this exam demands your sweat and blood, so I think you can start directing your focus towards civil services, and as and when you get into it full-fledgedly, then I think you will be already up and running and in a momentum to pursue it full time. So I think a balance is the key here. I don't say to completely pursue civil services during the KGP time or just ignore it. I think both can be equally dangerous. So I think having a balance here really works. And in a way, having a social life also helps you build networks, be open to more perspectives. So somewhere or the other, it helps in your prep also, I believe. So I think balance should be your mantra here.
Sure. Very well summarized by Ben. Yes.
So we can sum it up in a way that you have to balance and prioritize things to make things work around. So let's move on to the next question, talking about commitments and responsibilities. Did you had any commitments and responsibility while preparing for the examination? And for those who are having any responsibility or commitments on them, how should they prepare for the exam, balancing both of them?
Am I audible, Prithvi?
Yes, yes. You are.
Yes, Shivam.
So for me personally, I had a biggest commitment that responsibility along with my job, along with the preparation. So for that, this one of the biggest responsibility was a difficult. Strategically, then it can be to decide how I want to spend my day, days, office time, and post office hours. So for that, in the beginning of the day, I used to make a plan that in office, in the breaks, what all things that I need to do. For example, if I had to read the newspaper, then I used to do in the breaks in the office time. And at the same time, during lunch breaks, if I get some time, I can do certain revision. So that was one approach. And post office hours, I used to give with 100% focus to preparation. So around 5 to 6 hours, I could devote to full-time preparation, a full focus preparation. So planning your office hours, planning my office hours and post office hours was one approach. Utilizing the weekends, because weekend used to be the golden opportunity for me. And those 2 days, I used to cut down on my social interaction. And my social interaction was almost cut down to zero with the job. So in those 2 days, I used to prepare for around 10 hours. That used to cover up the less time on weekdays. So that was the only major commitment that I had along with my preparation.
So coming to me, fortunately, I prepared for this exam full time once I quit my job in 2021, June 2021. So the thing was, I was fortunate enough not to have any financial obligations back at home, so I could prepare full time. But coming to the commitment parts, I made sure that I promised to myself that apart from if there is any family emergency, and if it's about my parents, that I won't take any other responsibility. And my parents were also okay with it and they were clear with it and they were very supportive. The only commitment or responsibility, sort to say, is what I did was I tricked myself since I was already in a corporate job. So since I was in a self-study mode, what I did is I made myself the employer and as well as my employee. So throughout the day while I was studying, I used to consider myself as my employee, and by the end I would give myself the report about what I did today. So that somewhere built in accountability towards myself, and that actually helped me make this prep more balanced and more eased out. But other than that, I was fortunate not to have any major commitments or responsibilities. And also, I made sure I cut down on my social interactions only if it's absolutely necessary, but mostly no.
Yes, I think what Shivam has said, that if you do have a social accountability from the family side, then I think discipline is the key. Then you have to restrain yourself in involving activities that are not relevant to UPSC. And the time, any time that you are getting, that you have to devote it to your studies. That is the only key. And if you will try to find out, the breaks and all, then I think you will be able to find out time for yourself in a good manner. And then, as Shivam has mentioned, that on weekends you can utilize it, where you can cut down your social circle. So I think what Shivam has said, discipline is the key, and you can do it as well. And as and when the exam is near, then I think you can take complete break and completely focus on, I think, studies.
Oh, that was an insightful response. So I guess we can move on to the next question. My next question to you is, and this question is a very common doubt among students, that should they follow a specific routine for their while preparing for the examination, or should they customize their preparation according to their strengths and weaknesses? So, what would you like to say about it?
So regarding preparation plan, in UPSC, you will find that if 1,000 people are getting selected, 1,000 people have their own different 1,000 strategies. So I would say there is no specific study plan that one has to follow. It has to definitely be customized, strengthen one's strength and weaknesses, and one's priority, and also when you want to attempt the examination as well. So for me, when I decided to prepare, I knew that I'll give 1 or 2 attempts with my job. So my plan was according to that commitment. So initially I realized that I have very less time and I cannot prepare for prelims and mains together. So my first focus was to prepare full time for prelims. And once I clear the prelims, I'll prepare for the mains. And there's a possibility that I may not be able to clear that year's mains because the prelims was very nearby. So my plan was according to my need, that is that I had to fulfill in the. So and I also consider my strength and weaknesses, because I realized that I could stretch myself during night hours. So I used to plan more in the night hours, and I realized that I'm very good in uh, understanding the concepts. So my idea was to just understand the concept in the one go, and then I'll go and jump upon memorizing the things. So that was one strength area that I utilized. And when it comes to weakness, mains preparation, I realized that my weakness is my answer writing is very weak in the initial days. So I knew that I had to write a lot to increase my speed, and at the give a proper structure to my answer. So realizing your strength and weakness will help you in deciding a good plan for yourself. So that is very much important to first. So those who are writing the examination for the first time or starting new, they should go through various strategies, understand what people actually do and how the process goes. What are your weaknesses, and customize a plan for yourself, and that will help you in kicking start the preparation. And one last thing I would like to add, for me, I believe my preparation was never a 5 month strategy or 7 month strategy. I used to update them every week based on my learning in the past week or past change. You should not be very rigid with your study plans. So be my approach, and I would suggest not to follow a particular strategy. Make your own strategy.
Yeah. I would I would also, I think Shivam has covered pretty well. There are a couple of points I would like to add here. First, at the micro level, why micro level I mean is on your daily schedule. Since, see, we all know we are humans, not every day is the same day for us. There would be times where we would be in enthusiasm to study. There would be days we would feel low. So accordingly, you choose. And I think the key here is to, first of all, even if you want to customize your prep, you should have a good self-assessment skills here. So you should realize what time slots work for you. For example, I knew I was super productive when in the evening from 6 to 10 in the evening. So I made sure I read tough topics there. And when I was a little underproductive, I would study easier topics there so that I could ensure that my productivity remains at the very high level throughout the day. So I think that is one should identify with a lot of experiments. And coming to the macro part, the long term part is since the mains before the one which I got selected into, I realized I had read maths as an option, but somewhere the exam preparedness was lacking. So while I came back from the mains exam that time, I ensured I dedicate my entire next 2 to 3 months for maths, for filling in my lacunas in mathematics. So that time I completely skipped GS. So as you see, as and when wherever you feel that you're lacking somewhere, focus on that so that you ensure that and you move on and you find new problems to solve. So I think that is a more smart way to prepare rather than actually following a particular study plan. It may not even work for you. It may work for you for a certain time, but then it starts getting counterproductive. So you have to continuously adapt, looking at what state of preparation you are in, and then move on.
Exactly. I think you have to customize your preparation based on your strengths and weaknesses. For example, I used to study optional and GS on the same day, whereas there may be some other people who dedicate one day for optional, one day for GS. So it will be different for different people. You have to find out which would suit you, and in that you can see, 5 to 10 toppers how they are doing, and then you can form your own plan based on your assessment, continuous assessment. So I think that would be key. So that would be it.
And I would also like to add some one small point here is people who are just started out preparing for this exam is use your first 4 or 5 months to actually experiment on yourself that what actually works. And first of all, it's more important to identify what doesn't work for you, because once you roll out all such options, you will be already on your right track. People just chase right things, but they end up doing wrong things, which may not actually work for them. So first experiment out whatever works, because even if you are for first 4 or 5 months in the prep, it won't really hamper your results in the future. But if you do such experiments just right before your exam, it could actually be, it will maybe ensure that you're out of the list. So do all such experiments at home. Don't do it before exam. That's something I would also recommend you.
Okay, so we can say that we shouldn't have a very rigid strategy. Rather, we should have a very flexible and customizable approach while preparing for the examination. So before we move on to the next question, I guess ma'am is here, Professor Rachna Patnaik. So I would like to invite ma'am to share a couple of words with our audience. So ma'am, please uh, share. Hello, Yash. Is ma'am here? Yash, can you update me on this?
Yeah, I think ma'am is in the meet, but
So is there any technical difficulty that we are facing? No, I guess ma'am has joined us and
Hello, ma'am. Now you're presented.
Yes. So, am I audible?
yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Thank you so much for inviting me to join this session. Rather, I'd also like to thank all the participants and the speakers. I was a bit late to join the discussion because I had another meeting. However, the little I could get from the discussion was very fruitful, because the listeners or the participants were given quite a bit of idea how to prepare for the civils, and also some strategies that they could follow. And I'm sure it is going to help all the participants to prepare and see how they can basically target towards reaching their goal. So I thank all the speakers basically who have joined us and shared their experiences, shared their feelings with the students and others who want to also pursue the same path. Though I have joined this society, but yes, I'm new and I would like to also learn from all of you as well. And I hope we'll have more such meetings also in the future, and then probably get connected to all the speakers again at some point of time and see how we can proceed from there. Thank you so much for inviting me to join the session.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for sharing your blessings and your words with us. We are very thankful to you to be a part of our society. So let's move ahead with the session. Before I pass on the mic to my fellow mate Abhiraj, I would like to ask last question from my side. As I like what while preparing for the examination, what was the most challenging aspect for of the exam? Was it the preparation for preliminary examination, or was it the mains examination, or was it the interview section, or was it any specific area that you struggled while preparing for the exam? Uh, Please go ahead.
So regarding the challenging phase in this examination, I would say it is different from different people. Those who are not able to clear prelims, that is the most challenging phase for them. And if you're stuck in main stage, then that becomes the most challenging. And there are few people who are not able to score good marks in PT despite clearing prelims and mains again and again. So it is different from different people depending on their performance at different stages. Specifically for me, I was not able to clear my first two prelims. So till the time I could not clear prelims, that was my biggest challenge. And as soon as I started clearing prelims, I was able to clear all the prelims after that. So that became an easy stage for me, despite the paper becoming difficult and difficult, because I understood what I was doing wrong in my earlier prelims. So regarding the stages, that was my understanding of this examination, because all the stages requirement is different and the mental test is of a different type. So it could be depending on your performance. And apart from that, for me specifically, as I have also mentioned to many people, that for me, changing every day, I used to change my mood from working professional to a aspirant. And changing that gears every day used to be very difficult. Sometimes used to give me so much of fatigue that I used to skip that day for studying. So that was the most challenging thing that I faced in this examination. And apart from this, it took me 5 attempts to get to my dream service. And so it requires a lot of mental stamina. You will feel that it is like you are done with the examination, you don't want to appear again. So that mental strength is also one thing that would be challenged again and again at different stages in this examination.
I think again, Shivam has rightly made the point that it depends on the individual on which particular stage of preparation they are stuck into. For me personally, I felt mains is something, the written stage is somewhere I found it more challenging from the whole process point of view, is because see, prelims requires your mental stamina as well, because you have got to read a lot of things, you have to remember, you have to practice. But mains has an extra challenge of actually physically exerting yourself. So you're writing, let's say, 6 hours straight every day, back to back for 5 days. I mean, 3 days on a weekend and the other weekend 2 times. So it's a very exhausting process. So I think building your physical strength during that time while maintaining your mental grit. I think this challenge is a very coupled challenge, and it really can actually put you in a very low state. So I think that is also because of the whole answer writing process. So I found it personally very challenging initially. It was a very steep curve to actually crack how answer writing is. So that is one. And more than the whole process, see, people actually get into the process and they understand how it works. but what actually takes you a bit ahead is your mental strength here. You gotta have a lot of patience and perseverance in this process. Otherwise, this exam can be really difficult to clear. This two skills is something I also found challenging, and I also discovered my strengths there. But it took me time eventually. So these are the couple of things that I think I found very challenging about this exam.
Yes, definitely. In fact, actually depends on individual. Like in the initial 3 attempts, I was not able to clear prelims. So prelims was my biggest fear. But last year I missed the final list. But there was 5 day time for prelims, so I gathered myself and clear prelims. Not only civil service, but also forest prelims as well, whose cutoff is around 15 marks higher than that. So I think it depends on individual to individual which stage is, I think, difficult for them. But I think apart from that, the mental toughness, at times there would be self doubts. You would be giving some test and would be getting low marks. You would be having self doubts that I'm preparing so hard and again I'm getting so much not good marks. So I think mental toughness or self confidence. So these are some things which are being tested over the period of time. So I think if you would be kind of getting hold on these things, then I think you would, this journey would be I think smooth for you. But they would be up and down. But in that matter, I think perseverance, as Abhay has rightly pointed out, perseverance and as well as the internal motivation which drives you to get into the service. These are the things which would help you to continuously move forward.
I would like to just add one point. Right, I personally know somebody who took any one of what I want to say. Don't take any one of the stays very lightly, or don't be overconfident. Suppose if you're clearing the prelims for 2 times, don't be overconfident that next time you'll clear the prelims. Because I know somebody who was very confident because he was able to clear 2 prelims, and surprisingly he was not able to clear next 2 prelims, and he got very disappointed. So be humble if you're able to ace one stage and prepare for the next stage. And next time, if you have to, unfortunately, if you have to give the examination again, then with the same level of dedication, prepare for the first stage properly. Otherwise, the fate may will make you humble if you're not humble in this exam.
I guess you guys have covered all the aspects of the most challenging part of the preparation, from the bottleneck step, preliminary examination, to the interview. Now I would like to pass on the mic to Abhiraj to carry forward the event and continue.
Thank you, Prithvi. So I would like to move on to the next question, which is, could you share a particularly memorable or unexpected question which you encountered during the interview process? Anything?
I can mention 2 incidences, one from this year's interview and one from last year's interview. So last year's, when I entered my interview room, that the first question that was asked, generally people think they'll ask introduce yourself, or they may ask something else based on your DAP. So when I enter, the chairperson asked me, when was the last time you enter the post office? So I was really surprised that why he is asking that question, and it took me time to think about when was the last time. So I told him. So he himself told, okay, it was long that it's a long back. So I told, yes, sir. So main question that he wanted to ask, that the post office becomes so irrelevant in these days that the young generation, they never go to post office for its actual core work. So should we not wind up the whole infrastructure that we have, and we are spending a lot of money. So that one thing was very unexpected, and I was able to give a very good answer. So I think that unexpected question worked in my favor as well. And similarly, in this year's interview, I was expecting that I'm already in service. They will ask me question related to my service, or question related to my DAF. So when I entered, they asked me question related to fifth generation, fourth generation aircrafts, and what are their features, what were the essential features a fifth generation aircraft should have. So these are the something that I never expected that will be asked in the interview from me, because I had no link with defense, too technical questions. So I would say these were the like challenging question that I had to face in interview, and surprising as well.
Yeah. So I think I have couple of memorable moments. One was at the very beginning. So I was allocated BB Swen sir's board. If I'm not mistaken, he was an ex MSME Secretary of India, Government of India. So he saw my DAF and he said, okay, so Abhay, you are from Wardha. So do you know about Goras Park? So basically, for the audience, Goras Park is a very famous cookie that's made here with pure milk and ghee, and that was started by a cooperative, which was I think somewhere in 1920s, started by Mahatma Gandhi ji and Jamnalal Bajaj. People who have actually read about history might have heard about these names. Um, so, so what do you know about that? So he asked me who started that, and even before he started asking me second question, he started talking with the other panelist. I think she was a diplomat, if I'm not mistaken. So he started speaking in Hindi. अरे मैम आपको पता है कितना बढ़िया कुकी होता है इनका. तो मैं MSME सेक्रेटरी था. He was actually saying this in Hindi कि मैं जब MSME सेक्रेटरी था तो मैं वर्धा जाता था, मैंने ये खाया वो खाया. I was like कि चलो बहुत अच्छा. It's a very good start to my interview. And the other thing, I think, and the other question, which was also my last question to the interview, is the same ma'am which asked me the question. So she asked me, so Abhay, looks like the 2024 United States president election, Trump is likely to come back in power. So how do you think, with Trump specifically in as the president, how will it impact India's policies? So I was aware about Trump's ideologies, political ideologies, but I was a little apprehensive about actually talking about it because even if I say it, it might come across as my own political ideology, which is not may not be the case as well. So what I diplomatically dodged it and I said that, ma'am, India does not deal with the president; it deals with the chair of the president. And in the past, we had a very fruitful relation with the Trump administration. And in future also, if he comes back, we'll have another good set of relations. We'll have to just recalibrate our policies. And she said, very good, and thank you. That was the end of my interview. So I could actually dodge that question because if I would have said something about, let's say, immigrants and let's say abortion, that would have taken the interview in a very in a direction where I may not be really up to speed with all the information. So that is one memorable thing that I feel was from my interview.
Yes, I think interview stage is one of the most unpredictable stage that we can say. I think the questions can be asked in any form. For example, if a few questions that I would like to tell during the last three interviews that I encountered with. During Survey Search Board, he has given me a case study with respect to encounter, and then he went into eight follow-up questions, 4 to 5 questions, like would you do encounter? Then he had taken it to next level that if the accused has killed your daughter, then would you again encounter him? Or he has made the situation very tricky one. And in this year's BB Spencer board, basically there was one question which was basically they asked me to compare between cow and buffalo, since I'm from rural background. So I was like, how to deal, what to say in these kind of questions. So I think in interview, expect the unexpected. They can ask you anything. They can, you have to be prepared enough to tackle tricky questions as well. Like they can ask you questions like, are you an ideal citizen? Or would you take bribe? Or can India become a corruption-free country? Or means they can ask you any type of question. So you have to be just ready. Your presence of mind would be checked as well. Yes.
So we should always keep our wits about ourselves and not falter. So moving on to the next question. Were there any specific subjects or topics that you found challenging during the exam, and how did you overcome these challenges?
Specific subject wise, for me, history used to be a pain area. I was very weak in memorizing the dates, names. So that was one area that I struggled a lot. And that continued in GS1 paper as well. History, geography, and especially the human geography part where you need to remember a lot of names, remember the maps. So that was one area that one subject I used to find very difficult. For that, definitely, if one subject is difficult, you cannot leave it because every subject has its role to play in the examination. So for prelims, what I did, I decided the priority in that subject. For example, modern history portion was most predictable and rewarding as well. So I did modern history, and then accordingly from the ancient, which topics are from which the questions are asked more. So previous year question helped me prioritize the different areas, different subtopics within a subject, and I was able to give focus on the priority topics, and that was I was able to do good in prelims in history as well. And similarly, in the mains area, I realized that which kind of questions are asked from that particular subject, be it modern history, world history. And then I focus more on remembering the content for those kind of questions and related questions. So accordingly, I decided and I was able to score good in GS1 as well. So priority you can do in the subject in which you are finding difficulty.
Yeah, I think from GS specifically, for the prelims part is geography is something I actually struggle with in the sense that yes, the NCRTs are very informative, but I somewhere feel the language is not really easy to pick on. So I was struggling with that, and also as the map work. So I think I found the Rajnatil Solanki ma'am's video lectures on I think Nunal sir's YouTube channel was really helpful, and they actually gave me more confidence about the subject. That is one thing from GS point of view. One interesting thing from maths optional, I think people with maths optional can actually relate to it, is that most of us, not everyone, but most of us actually struggle with the physics topic, especially fluid mechanics. Right? Initially, it's very difficult to grab the concepts if you have not had any background in your college or before. So, but I actually started seeing the questions, I started seeing the papers, and I realized those questions are so complicated, and somewhere or the other back in some university there must be some experiment that was stimulated related to fluid mechanics, and based on the experiment results they have framed questions. So that made me wonder that if the examiner, let's say, changes certain parameters of the question, I assume even he may not know the right answer unless it is solved before. So actually that was an advantage here because the questions are pretty much fixed. The questions come from the standard books. They are verbatim coded in your exam. So that is the way I actually tackled that particular topic here. So which was supposedly my weakness, I actually converted it into strength by understanding how the questions are framed. I think this trick actually helps you in various aspects of this exam.
I think for me, memorizing the facts, I think that is one of the biggest challenges for me. And due to that particular reason, specifically in GS1 history part, specifically ancient and medieval history part, I was not good at. In fact, I still am not good at that part. So that is one thing where I still find difficulty. But apart from that, I think it was quite enjoyable for me. So yes, for GS1, it was a challenge for me.
Thank you for that. Moving on to the next question. Is it wiser to appear for UPSC just after graduation, leaving placements, or one should secure a job and have some experience to get some sense of security and then appear for the exam?
This is one question which can be answered by the candidate itself, because you would see there are people like in my academy. I have seen people who clear the exam just after their graduation. There are people who work for a few years and then they started to prepare and they also cleared. There are people who was preparing along with job and they also cleared. So there are all kind of people available in the list who are clearing every year. So I would say, depending on one's priority, decide what you want to do in your life. If you are very sure about UPSC that it is the only thing that you want to go, then you can definitely give your attempt just after the college and start preparation in the college. But if you are not sure about the UPSC 100%, so there is nothing wrong in going and trying the private sector, the corporate sector, and those learnings will help you if later on if you decide to work upon your preparation and go for UPSC. So I would say just think about yourself and don't look what others are doing, because this journey is your own journey, and you should decide based on your life needs and your career priorities.
I think Shivam has very rightly pointed that until unless you're absolutely sure that this is something you're very passionate about or you want to pursue, I think that's fine then to pursue it. But I would say it's always good to have some work experience. I'll tell you why. Because we all know the failure rate in this exam is extremely high, right? So there might be chances that even if you give your best efforts, you may not clear. I'm not discouraging, but I'm just putting out the real facts here. So the thing is, once you graduate after your college, if you have some work X, there are two advantages to it. Let's say you jump into the UPSC prep full time, and let's say unfortunately you don't make it. So you always have a work experience to bank on to go back to corporate world, right? That is one. Second thing is, let's say if you go into bureaucracy and let's say you find it's not something you actually thought what it was, you always have a benchmark to compare. that, okay, I've lived a corporate life, I've lived a bureaucratic life. So you are in a better state to make a decision, because if you haven't lived either one of them, it will always keep you in the dark. So I think, again, as until unless you're absolutely sure you want to pursue UPSC as a prep, in a prep mode, I think job experience never hurts. Actually, it gives you more perspective. So, and again, as Shivam said, that people come from various backgrounds, various journeys. People who are in full-time job, they still clear. People who work for a few years and then quit and then prepare, like me. People who actually jump directly just after graduation. So, whatever sails your boat, I think you should make that call.
Yes, definitely. What Shivam and Abhay said, I think it depends, and there are all kind of aspirants who would be selected at various stages. So I think it entirely depends upon the individual as to how one wants to pursue.
Right. Thank you for the answer. During the interview, what qualities did you feel a candidate should have developed during their college years?
Like if you look at the interview, UPSC interview also has a specified syllabus. Many people are not aware about it. If you go through the notification, you'll find out that UPSC has clearly mentioned the kind of qualities they're looking in a candidate. Qualities such as mental alertness, awareness about the current affairs, art of assimilation of thoughts. So these are certain qualities that are specifically mentioned in the interview syllabus. So I feel if at all you want to develop something that could help in your interview stage, develop the overall personalities, because participate in public speaking events, participate in extracurricular activities, take a leadership opportunity in the college, because that will help you, that will make you mentally strong to deal with the challenge. So I'd say do it, like kind of opportunity the KGP provides. If you get involved in anything, just get out of your room, participate in any opportunity that is going to help you in your overall preparation, not just in UPSC, but any career you choose. Because for me, I remember the best thing that happened to me in KGP was my participation in extracurricular activities. Because academics is something that you do every day. And the thing that you do every day, you won't be able to recall them as your good experiences. So I would say anything you do in extracurricular in college, that will help. And particularly participate in public speaking events, participates in something that will help you inculcate your reading habits, and these things are particular habits that will help you in UPSC preparation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are a couple of qualities I personally feel is very important, which you can actually have a great opportunity to develop in a college year, is patience and perseverance. What I mean by that is, let's say you have loads of inter-hall competitions, you have in open IIT competitions, everything, right? So you are exposed to healthy competition, right? And when you get into UPSC prep, you will be actually competing with so many people, I think around 10 lakh every year. So it gives you a sense of what healthy competition looks like. It helps you perceive, and let's say we are in some, let's say in an ad design team in your hall, right? If, let's say you are in an ad design team, so you try for a particular year and you don't make it, let's say. So that gives you more drive to next step, मैं जीतूंगा, next step will fight and bring it back. So that only not only gives you perseverance to keep pushing yourself, but also gives you patience for the next 1 year. So I think these two things you can actually acquire from by participating in your extra acads in back in KGP, and this anyways is gonna help you in building your DEF in your detailed application form. So it's a win-win situation, not only from the skills but also from content, which actually will be the questions for you in your personality test. So I think it's a good. I think college is a great opportunity to explore such dimensions of yourself.
Yes, I think yes. IIT Kharagpur provides various opportunities, but adding to it, I think command over a language, because normally what happens is at the interview stage, we do have a lot of knowledge, but how we deliver those things, right? That also creates an impression on the board. So I think college provides a good platform where you can involve in activities where you would, interact with various individuals, where your personality would shape up in that way. So I think involvement in such activities would definitely help you in longer run shaping your personality. So that is one thing that directly would help you if you participate in various activities, apart from the qualities that are mentioned by Abhay and Shivam.
Definitely. So we should not stay in our room and explore and learn new things. Thank you. So The next question. Balancing the demands of placement interviews with your UPSC preparation must have been challenging. Can you share your approach to managing both effectively?
As when I was sitting for placement was the only priority for me. So I did not have to face this thing dilemma to balance. But I would say if it's again the demand is when you are going to appear for a UPSC. So if somebody is appearing for the UPSC just after the placement season or just after the graduation, then they have to prioritize UPSC preparation on top of the placement because they had made their mind to appear for the examination seriously. But if you just want to appear and are not very serious, then you can, and you want to go for a corporate sector, then prioritize your corporate sector placement because that is a very golden opportunity. Like the kind of opportunity we get for the placement in the college, you will not find that kind of opportunity ever in your life. Like that is the location where a company is coming to recruit you. So I would say at that time you can prioritize for few months because placement preparation people give 1 or 2 months before the actual the season starts. So at that time the placement can be prioritized. And personally, I did not have to face this issue. So I do not have any personal experience in how to manage both of them together.
Yeah, I think similarly, even I can't give a very practical advice here because even I haven't faced such a situation. But as Shivam rightly said that since just before few months before your placement, secure a job. Let's because that opportunity is a golden one because that's the only time when companies are actually coming to meet you. Outside, once you go out of KGB, you will have to go to companies and get some job. So if you have that thing, go take a job and still prepare. You still have another semester to go before you actually appear for your prelims exam. So then decide, depending on what stage of preparation is, you can maybe join your corporate sector or you can pursue your UPSC preparation.
I think that I would say it entirely depends upon individual. If one wants to give the attempt just after the college, like Shivam has mentioned, then I think one has to fully dedicate himself in the final year. Because if he or she is going to seriously appear for the exam, and if one is thinking that yes, I may give exam this year, but next year would be my serious attempt, or things like that, or one would be having some responsibility. But I think one would go for placement as well. So I think it depends on individual.
Definitely. So moving on to the next question. After graduating from IIT and even appearing in UPSC multiple times, did you think about switching to any other career?
This question used to come to my mind every time because I gave my two attempt first two attempt along with my job. So I already had a job in my hand. But when I gave my 100% preparation, I took a break for my professional career and I prepared full time for my third attempt and I could not clear. I could not get into the final list, and that was the time I actually thought about continuing my plan B because I thought I've given sufficient time for the preparation. I have improved myself a lot. And then it is okay for me to take a job. And if at all I want to appear again, I can appear along with the job itself. So I am a person who was strongly believing in having a strong plan B, considering the uncertainty with respect to result in this examination. The competition is ruthless. Even if you give your 100%, you may be out of the list again and again. So after I gave one at full-fledged attempt, I did not have any regret. And because of facing this question, I joined the job back and I gave my fourth attempt in which I got selected along with my job because I was mentally very relaxed that I have a plan B ready. If UPSC does not work for me, I have a corporate sector running. And my fifth attempt that I gave, that was after my selection in the fourth attempt. So that was also a plan B. What worse can happen with me? I had a job in my hand. So I believe once you give one or two full-fledged attempts, you should definitely look for a plan B parallelly, and that is manageable. So I did think, and I was continuing. I had a plan B, other career option.
I think in my case, I'd given around 2.5 years before the results came out. And I was in a state that from now on, I can actually manage it with jobs. So I was actually being inclined, in case I did not make it to the list this time, I would again attempt for this upcoming prelims. and maybe in case I get the opportunity to write mains, post that I will start looking for jobs. So that was my plan, but I think fortunately, but see, this kind of thoughts do come to you because most of the times you're actually failing while you're preparing. So this kind of thoughts come to you, but it's always good to have a plan B in mind that, okay, what if this does not work out? What are you going to do? If you have that clarity, it actually eases out your preparation. So, so my thought was that after this, I would continue with my job. I'll go back to corporate sector and do it on the sides.
I think here in this aspect, the students who are from IITs, in fact, good institutions, they do have an advantage that they do have a good peer circle. Where if they would want to switch to corporate sector, they would easily get, I have support from the peers. So I think in my journey, I was never, very worried about my career or option B because I do have friends, we all have, and they were always supported me that even if you would not clear this exam, we are there to support you in the corporate sector. So no need to worry about, just focus on your examination. And I think there are more opportunities right now in those who are not able to clear this UPSC examination, like in public policy. So there are various other sectors as well. So I think given that we are from a prestigious institution like IIT Kharagpur, we do have a strong peer support. And I think that would take care of plan B, that if you want to switch to corporate sector, I think you would be able to do that. So you can freely devote your time for UPSC preparation. So that is a good thing for the people who are from IITs.
All right. Actually, we are facing a time crunch, so we'll now be moving to the Q&A session and address some questions by the audience to the speakers. So the first question which I have is, on the time of prelims or mains, how was your revision strategy? Have you revised notes of both NCERT and standard books or anything else?
So regarding prelims or mains both, right?
Right.
So regarding prelims, except for geography and history, I did not follow NCERT. I was just following the standard books, and my revision strategy was a little bit different. So what I used to do, I never made good notes, like notes for prelims for topic like polity, topic like modern history, because I had less time. So I used to mark in my book itself, and during revision, I used to revise from the book directly. And with the subsequent revision, I used to further mark the points which I want to revise in my next attempt. But I don't, because I don't want to read the whole book again and again, even the highlighted content that I highlighted in my first revision. So I used to, my book is very dirty. You will find the revision 1, revision 2, revision 3 written in every page. So that used to save a lot of time. And when it came to mains, so for mains, I believe having your notes helps you a lot. So for mains, what my aim was to consolidate the notes in as less space as possible. So I used to write very condensed in one particular page so that the volume is very less. And you used to play with the psychology, mind psychology, that I had to revise 5 pages only for the whole topic of polity. So that was my strategy. I made very short notes in a condensed form, and I used to revise them multiple times before the actual mock test or actual examination. So for means, I used to make a concise and consolidated notes for revision.
Yeah, I think I had a very similar approach like Shivam. The my only and just to add to the mains notes is that I made notes only for two things. Is that things that I tend to forget is something I noted down because most of the things that you've read so many times it will anyways come back to you in your exam. So things that you forget that is something you should make notes of, and things that you cannot even afford to not write in the exam. These two things, if you ensure in your notes, I think you're very good to go because that only reduces your speed of revision, but it also helps you recollect things and make sure your answer looks good.
So I think for prelims per se, since we do all have our basic notes. So what I did was, for example, let's say 1 month before the prelims, as Abhay has mentioned, that things that I will be forgetting or things that I think that are important or they do have a good cost benefit analysis, I would write those topic headings on a separate page. For example, let's say there are 10 topics for polity, 10 topics for economy, or some. And so what I would do is before the examination, let's say before the 10 days, I would revise only those topics because they would yield, better outcome in terms of coming questions in the examination. So for prelims, it was that, and for mains, I did make very short notes which would contain the data, facts, or some important value addition, which I would revise. Let's say if I would be having 1 hour or 2 hour gap, then I would just go through the pages so that I would be having the value added notes with me during that time. So I think that was the strategy followed by me.
I would actually like to add one small point, but I think could be useful, is that especially during prelims, we have the struggle that we also want to revise standard books, we also want to revise current affairs, we also want to revise test series, right? So what you could do is while you actually attempt a test series and whichever points you miss, for example, there was a question on, let's say, Vijayanagar Empire. So whatever that data or fact was, just go back and write down on your in your standard book wherever the topic is in the Vijayanagar Empire chapter. Just note it down so that next time you revise the book, you're automatically revising not only the standard books but also the test series. So you don't have to go back and look at test series separately. So I think this way you can actually optimize your revision here.
Got it. The next question is, should we start preparing for UPSC early since we have to join early to get those good cabinet postings?
I think we should not think that long at this stage of time. Like you should just think about what you want for the examination, because getting into cabinet, it's even if you get on the very early stage at the age of 21, definitely your chances are more, but there's a possibility that you may not get the posting. So I would say don't focus on those things as of now. Focus on if you want to prepare for the examination, if at all, what are the short-term career goals? What are your short-term priorities? When can you start your preparation? Focus upon those areas and start preparing according to that. And definitely there's nothing wrong in saying that the early you get into the service, the better are the options for you. There is nothing wrong in this, and this is true. So if you want to start early, you can start.
Yeah, I think I don't have anything more to add here. I think Shivam is absolutely bang on here. I think you should only focus that how can I crack this exam in my upcoming attempt. That's it. I think if you focus on that, eventually you will get into service early and maybe reach that post that you actually desire.
Just I would like to add one thing here. Normally what happens is right now there is a trend that just after entering into college, people start preparing for civil services if they would want to. So what happens is, for example, during the stay of 4 years or 5 years, it may be a possibility that they may burn out, they may not be able to continue with the preparation due to some issues, or they may feel that this is getting too, long. So in that, what you can do is, and at the same time, just after the 12th, there would be not enough understanding that would be developed, in our mind to understand some complex issues that would be coming into UPSC examination. So I think initially 1 or 2 years, if you are first year or second year student, don't stretch too much. Just take the feel of the syllabus, just go through regular current affairs, just have develop the reading habits. And then in the later stage, in the next 2 years or 3 years, in the next year, I think they are enough for you to cover the entire syllabus in a good way. So I think no need to just go from day one from the college as soon as you are entering that, yes, I have to crack in the first time, because I've seen many cases that they have started preparation during their first year, but they end up getting nothing even after 5 or 6 years after the college. So just don't go into that trap. Just involved in the activities as well. But at the same time, I think 1 year or 2 years is enough in the college. In the last phase, that would be enough for the examination to start with.
Got it. The last question is, how was your approach in reading NCERT in your first and subsequent readings?
NCERT, as I mentioned earlier, I did not follow standard NCERT for all the subjects for UPSC. So particularly the NCERT that I did, for example, geography, most of the people go through class 11th and class 12th NCERT. And there are few people who refer the NCERT from the very beginning, like starting from the class 6th, even in every subject, because you have time. Suppose if somebody has decided to prepare for the examination in college first year, second year itself, then it is very good to start with NCRT of class 6, then keep on building your concept. Regarding the revision in NCRTs, again, for geography, for me, NCRT was my prime and only source. So what I used to do, again, treating it like any standard resource, I used to give my first revision, trying to understand the concept. Once the first reading is completed, then I did the again second reading to revise my concept. And in the subsequent, I used to highlight the points which I want to memorize because concept is already there in mind. So like any other revision strategy, NCRT revision strategy was not any specific, it was the common strategy.
Yeah, I think NCRT should be read more as a storybook because it's very conversational that way. It helps you build the base for you, but it may not be really sufficient. So let's say first time you read, just go through it, just try to understand what the subject talks about, and maybe next time you read, just underline it, and the third time, in case you feel the need to read it, just go through the underlying points. I think more than that, I think it could become an overkill. At least it was an overkill for me after that. So I think depends on you how you take it.
Yes, I think I also followed the geography NCRT, and apart from that, I've not followed any NCRT. But let's say if you face difficulty in economy, let's say, then I think you can go for the lower class books because they would be having understanding of 6% plus student. So you can understand it by your own. So, for example, if you find difficulty in polity, then you can go for 6th class, 10th class NCRT in your college so that you would have understanding and you would understand the basic concepts because it is all about the concepts that you would understand and the application of them would be helpful in solving the questions. So it depends upon the level of difficulty that you face in a particular subject, and then you can go for NCRT as per your need.
All right. That was all. So, as we conclude, let's acknowledge the dedication and expertise of our esteemed speakers who have generously shared their insights and wisdom. Their guidance will undoubtedly serve as a guiding light for all UPSC aspirants on their path to success. Thank you, sirs, for all the information you have shared and spending your valuable time here with us and guiding our aspirants.
Thank you so much. I think it was our. Um, I'm sorry, Shivam. It was our honor and pleasure to actually give it back to our fellow community back in KGP. So
Thank you for organizing and inviting all of us here. And it was definitely one of a good opportunity for us to share something with the people who are starting their journey in UPSC from the college, because I feel the connection is not compared to other institute because they are close to the UPSC center. So it was good to share the experience. And thank you for this opportunity. I hope we were able to solve some of the confusion that the community has.
Definitely.
Thank you everyone for inviting us.
Thank you.
thank you. Bye.
I would also like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Sarvana Kumar, who is the academic co-coordinator at Shankar IS, for taking time out of his schedule and joining us at the event. Over to you, sir. So you're not audible, sir. So I think you are muted, sir. If you could unmute your mic, sir.
Yes, sir. Now you're audible.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, sir. Now you can go ahead.
Okay,
Yes,
is there
sir.
any technical, maybe technical problem, sir? So first of all, I would like to thank the IIT Kharagpur Institute. The opportunity is a very huge opportunity for Shankar IS Academy. So the toppers interaction with the students is a very appreciable context. So the inputs from the toppers will be a very appreciable thing. So the thing is that we are having our expert faculty, Mr. Ruchir sir. He'll be speaking some inputs about our institute, and I'll just let the mic to him.
Am I audible? Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're
Yes, sir,
audible.
you're audible.
Okay. I first of all welcome all the students of IIT Kharagpur who are participants, who are listeners of this webinar. And then I would like to use the same platform to congratulate all the selected students, our guest speakers who have attended today's this seminar. They have guided the students so nicely, so well. They have answered all the questions very nicely. Even I was listening to the seminar and it was really a good one. Further, I use this platform to inform and just to bring it to the notice of all the listeners of IIT Kharagpur that yesterday only Indian Forest Services, it is one of the All India services, result was declared, and out of total 147, we marked a note of 103. So 103 candidates from Shankar IAS Academy, that is our academy, have qualified this examination, that is Indian Forest Services. Just to inform you all, the prelims examination of Indian Forest Services and Indian Civil Services, that is IAS examination, is one and the same. From mains onward, the module of the examination gets bifurcated, different for civil services and different for forest services. Apart from that, even in Indian Civil Services, out of which the selected candidates were our guest speakers today, total 273 plus selections are from Shankar IAS Academy, and it is not from a single branch of Shankar IAS Academy. We are having a presence on a pan-India level, round all over India, like in Bangalore, in Thiruvananthapuram, in Chennai, that is our head branch, our Delhi center, Kolkata, Meghalaya, Hyderabad. We are having centers in multiple places on a pan-India level, and this presence of Shankar IAS Academy on a pan-India level gives us an edge over the other institutes, why we are able to tap students from every nook and corner of this country, and we are able to perform nicely. It is not about the figures. It is about our approach in every nook and corner of the country. So we are able to get students from every corner, and that is what is the basic module behind the success of our institute. Already the selected students have answered all the questions, so I will not speak again on the same matter, but I would like to add few things about the strategy or the approach which should be followed in taking up prelims, mains, and personality test, that is called as interview, and how we in Shankar IAS Academy guide our students for that. I will discuss that also. Practically, it is not about a multiple choice question. Practically, it is not about writing an answer in the mains examination, and practically it is not about presenting yourself in a personality test. What is important over here is that when we are going for the prelims examination, then it happens with all the students, and if not all, then with most of the students, that out of 4 options given, out of which we have to mark 1 option as correct, generally 2 options appear as correct, or they appear very close to each other. What is the strategy that we should follow when we get confused in that 2 hours examination period? How we need to work on that? We guide aspirants over here in Shankar IAS Academy on that matter. Then when it comes to the mains examination, then we do discuss about writing the answer in mains examination. We work on so many things, and a student face so many difficulties that they gain, they earn, they harness so much knowledge over a period of 1 year or 2 years, which they give for their preparation of UPSC. But when it comes to main examination, many a times they land up in a problematic situation that they are able to crack prelims every time, but they are not able to qualify mains. So what is the problem in the mains examination? Then in mains examination, the problem is not with the content, rather the problem is with the language. The language which we are talking, the language which we are speaking, that becomes problematic, and that becomes very important for us to work on that. Apart from that, when we are pursuing our graduation, when we are pursuing our humanities graduation specifically, not of IIT, not of technical graduation, but when we are pursuing humanities, we are in the mindset of taking a keyword from the language of the question and start answering on that particular keyword, which should be avoided, which should be which is strictly prohibited as far as UPSC is concerned. When we are writing the answers in the main examination, we need to develop a special type of intellect that whatever that has been asked in the question, that should be answered. What we know about the topic is immaterialistic. What is our knowledge level may or may not be expressed in the answer to the question, but whatsoever that has been specifically asked should be specifically answered. If that answer is missing, and no matter you have written each and everything about that particular topic, you won't get marks. Examiner wants the answer to the question, and that is what is the pattern of UPSC, that is the demand of UPSC. We here at Shankar IAS Academy, we try and we work on this particular parameter, how to amalgamate current affairs static portion and the analytical portion out of that. Like 2013 to 2019, UPSC focused specifically on current affairs question. 2019 onwards, up till 2022, there was an amalgamation, a mix of current affairs with the static portion. And if you see 2023 onwards, and specifically in the mains examination of 2023, you will find that two subjects are mixed into one another. A question is having one part from geography, another part from economics, which is appearing as a question of geography. But the question is a mix of economics and geography, right? Now, UPSC has started amalgamating the subjects also. And so a student has to be profound enough, he has to be well polished enough to understand the demand of the question and answer that. We work here on that particular aspect. So despite our presence in every corner of the country, apart from that, our concerted effort towards the student help us to get good results year after year. In Delhi, we started our operation in 2019, but we are working for more than last 20 years in our Chennai center. And that has resulted in great success for our academy in last so many years. Apart from that, I would like to announce, because already we are running short of time, as one of the person from your side only said that we are conducting a test. We are conducting a scholarship test, and that will be notified to you all people through a mail. It is a scholarship test in which all those who will qualify this scholarship test, they are entitled for scholarship in our pre-storming test series. Our pre-storming test series is an annual test series which is specifically guided for the prelims examination or prelims oriented test series. In that, there will be multiple slabs and up to 75% discount will be given, up to 75% scholarship will be given. And for that, registration link will be shared to you all on your mail ID. Just 250 rupees is the registration fees. You can register on that, and then you can attempt in that scholarship test. At last, I would like to thank the entire team of IIT Kharagpur for giving this our academy this opportunity to address this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys, for attending this event. Now you can leave this event.